Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you for a minute. You ever had somebody sit in your mind like rent is free? You wake up and there he is. You go to bed and there he is. But check this out. He ain't calling, he ain't texting, he ain't showing up. And yet, he's always there. That ever happened to you? You ever find yourself thinking about someone so often, it's like they've taken up residence in your mind. You wake up thinking about them. You're brushing your teeth, and there they are. Driving to work, trying to focus, and still, there's that face, those words, those moments. It's like they haunt your day, even though they haven't spoken a word to you in weeks, maybe months. And here's the thing, just because someone's on your mind, that doesn't mean they're meant to be in your life. See, your thoughts, they're powerful. They reflect what you're feeling, what you're longing for, maybe even what you miss. But they are not the final word on your reality. They're a signal that there's something inside you that needs to be addressed. Maybe a wound, maybe hope that won't quit, maybe a habit of holding on to someone who let go a long time ago. And you gotta understand this deep in your soul. Your thoughts are not instructions. They are not a mandate to go chasing ghosts. They're reflections, not orders. A person's constant presence in your mind does not mean they're your destiny. Sometimes it just means you haven't healed yet. We often confuse thoughts with signs. Why am I thinking about him so much? We ask ourselves, maybe it means something. And yeah, it does mean something. But maybe it doesn't mean what you think. Maybe it means you're lonely. Maybe it means you're still looking for closure. Maybe it means you were more invested than he ever was. But don't twist that into a fairy tale. Don't take silence and make it poetic. Don't take distance and try to fill it with imagination. When someone is constantly in your mind but absent in your reality, it's time to ask, what am I holding on to? Because you might be holding on to hope, onto potential, onto the version of him you created in your head. Not the real man who's not showing up for you. You deserve more than mental reruns of someone who won't pick up the phone. You deserve effort, you deserve consistency, you deserve peace, and peace doesn't look like lying in bed wondering what you did wrong when all you did was care. You gotta stop confusing availability in your mind with availability in your life. Stop giving VIP access to someone who doesn't even ask how you're doing. The mind will play tricks. It'll make you believe that deep thought equals deep connection, but connection takes action. It takes presence. It takes two. You can't build a bridge with just your half. If someone isn't showing up, they're showing you everything you need to know. Your mind is trying to heal, to process, to figure out where the disconnect happened. That's natural, but it doesn't mean you have to go running back. You're allowed to acknowledge the thought and still choose to move forward. You're allowed to say, yeah, he's on my mind, but he doesn't belong in my future. Because some people are just passing through, not meant to stay. And thinking about them doesn't mean you owe them a place in your life. There's a saying that silence speaks louder than words, and when it comes to relationships, this couldn't be more true. You might be waiting for a text, a call, any sign of life from him, but all you get is silence. That quiet absence isn't just empty space, it's a message, a loud one that's harder to ignore than any words he might say. Because when someone truly cares, they don't leave you wondering, they don't leave you guessing, and they definitely don't leave you hanging. Silence is not neutral. It's communicating something clear, even if it's uncomfortable to hear. You see, people talk a lot when they want to stay connected. When they're interested, when they want to be in your life, they make noise. Texts, calls, messages, even small check-ins. The silence, on the other hand, speaks volumes because it tells you what words might be too hard to say or too uncomfortable to admit. It says, I'm not here. It says, I'm not choosing you right now. And as painful as that can feel, it's better to hear that silence than to fool yourself into thinking it's something else. Sometimes, silence is used as a way to avoid confrontation or the hard truth. It's easier for some people to disappear than to explain why they don't want to engage. That silence, though, it's a boundary. They're telling you without saying a word that you don't belong in the space they're choosing to occupy. It's a refusal to communicate, a refusal to prioritize you, and that's a loud, unmistakable message. You don't need to read between the lines here. Silence is the line. What's tricky is how we interpret that silence. We want to fill it with excuses, reasons, hope. Maybe he's busy. Maybe he's going through something. Maybe he doesn't know how to say what he's feeling. But while some silences come from genuine struggle or confusion, a repeated pattern of silence when it matters most is a sign of disinterest or disrespect. And no matter how much you want it to mean otherwise, silence in a relationship where communication should thrive is a warning bell, not a temporary glitch. There's also the way silence messes with your mind. When there's no explanation, no communication, your brain tries to create stories to fill the void. You imagine scenarios, you replay moments, you ask yourself what you did wrong. You search your memory for clues, hoping for answers that never come. That's the power of silence. It pulls you in, keeps you stuck, and makes you question your worth. But here's the truth you need to hold on to. If he's not talking to you, that silence is saying exactly what it needs to say. It's not about you, it's about him choosing not to engage, not to invest. At the end of the day, silence is a decision. It's an active choice to stay quiet, to not communicate, to not be present. And if that choice is made over and over, it's showing you where you stand in his lie, for where you don't stand at all. So don't waste your time trying to interpret silence like it's a secret message of love or care. It's what it is, absence. And absence, my friend, is not a sign of love, it's a sign of leaving. When silence takes over, you have to decide if you want to keep listening to that quiet message or if you're ready to walk away and demand the noise, the words, and the presence you deserve. Because love doesn't live in silence. It lives in conversation, in connection, and in showing up. Love is not supposed to be exhausting. It's not meant to drain you or make you feel like you're running a race all alone while the other person is sitting on the sidelines. When you love someone, when you invest your time, your heart, your energy, it should be met with something real in return. You deserve energy that matches yours. That means if you're giving your all, the person on the other end should be stepping up too, not just occasionally, but consistently. Love is a two-way street, not a one-person marathon. Far too often, people get caught up in the idea that love is about sacrifice to the point of losing themselves. They think if they just keep giving, keep hoping, keep pushing, eventually the other person will catch up. But love doesn't work like that. You can't run that long without fuel. If your partner isn't putting in effort, if they're not meeting you where you are, then what you're experiencing isn't love. It's exhaustion disguised as affection. And you don't have to settle for that. Effort isn't about grand gestures or expensive gifts. It's about showing up in the little things, the texts, the calls, the plans made and kept, the respect for your time and feelings. It's about being present when you need them, showing empathy and communicating honestly. When someone loves you, they make an effort to be a part of your life. They don't make excuses or disappear when things get tough or when they're busy. They show you that you matter by how they prioritize you. If that's missing, what you're getting isn't love, it's a placeholder. You deserve someone who moves toward you, not away. Someone whose energy matches yours, not just when it's convenient, but every day. Because love isn't a hobby, it's a commitment, and commitments require effort, attention, and consistency. You should never feel like you're begging for scraps of affection or trying to decode mixed signals. The energy you give should be returned in full measure. If you find yourself constantly wondering if you're the only one trying, it's time to rethink what you're investing in. There's also something powerful about recognizing your worth and knowing that your energy is valuable. When you start expecting less than what you deserve, you set a low bar for how people treat you. But when you demand that your energy be matched, you set a standard for respect, care, and love. It's not about being picky or unreasonable. It's about understanding that your heart is not a playground for someone else's convenience. Effort is the language of love. It's what turns promises into reality. Without it, love is just words. You deserve to be with someone who speaks your language fluently, someone who doesn't need reminders to show up or to care. You deserve love that feels like a partnership, where both people carry the weight together and lift each other up. When the energy is balanced, love becomes a source of strength, joy, and growth, not stress, doubt, and heartache. So when you think about the love you want, think about the effort you give and ask yourself if it's being returned. Because if it's not, you owe it to yourself to step back, reevaluate, and hold out for the love that matches your energy. No less, no excuses. There's something powerful about the way our minds work when it comes to love and loss. You might find yourself thinking about him constantly, replaying memories, imagining what could have been, wondering if there's still a chance. But here's the truth. Sometimes your mind isn't chasing him at all. It's chasing something else. It's chasing the version of yourself you wanted to be when you were with him. Your mind keeps running after a future that never arrived, a dream that stayed just out of reach. It's not always about missing the person. It's about missing the hope, the potential, the identity you created in your heart around what that person represented. When a relationship ends, it's not just the other person who leaves. Part of you leaves too, the part of you that believed in the what-ifs and maybes. You held on to a vision of yourself as someone loved, wanted, important. And when that vision breaks apart, your mind struggles to let go because it hasn't fully accepted the loss of that part of you. It's mourning the dreams you built together, the future you imagined, and the way you hoped being with him would make you feel about yourself. That's why sometimes you feel stuck, like you're chasing a ghost. Because you're not really chasing him. You're chasing the identity you hoped you'd have, the confident woman who was loved deeply, the happy couple that had it all, the life you thought you'd live by his side. And when those things don't come true, it's natural to feel lost. You're trying to find yourself in the pieces of a story that ended before it really began. The hardest part is realizing that the version of yourself you miss might never have existed outside your hopes and dreams. It was a possibility, not a reality, and that's okay. It's okay to grieve not just the person, but the version of yourself that you thought would emerge from that relationship. It takes time to accept that sometimes love doesn't transform us the way we expect. Sometimes it teaches us to rebuild ourselves from the ground up, instead of building on what we imagined. But here's the good news. Your mind chasing what your heart hasn't closed is a sign that healing is still happening. It means you're not done processing, you're not done saying goodbye, and once you do, once you allow yourself to close that chapter fully, you'll free your mind to chase new dreams, new possibilities, and a truer version of yourself. You deserve to find peace not because you've forgotten him, but because you've stopped chasing the version of yourself you lost. You deserve to love the person you are right now, the person who's learning, growing, and becoming whole apart from anyone else. And when you reach that place, you'll realize that your heart was never really broken by losing him. It was broken by holding on too long to a dream that wasn't yours to keep. But now, you're free to create a new dream, one where you're the one who matters most. When someone you care about is absent from your life, especially without explanation or effort to stay connected, it can feel like a wound that won't heal. You wonder why they stopped reaching out, why the conversation stopped, and why the connection that once felt so strong suddenly disappeared into silence. It's painful, confusing, and often leaves you feeling unworthy or questioning what you did wrong. But what if, instead of a punishment or a loss, this absence is actually a blessing in disguise? What if the very thing that feels like a heartbreak is actually a divine intervention, a way to clear the path for what's truly meant for you? Sometimes life removes people from our lives not because they are bad or because we failed, but because they are distractions. distractions that keep us from becoming the person we are supposed to be, or from reaching the destiny that's waiting for us. When he's not reaching out, when the door closes without warning, it may be God's way of saying, this is not your path, this is not your chapter. And that silence, that absence is not empty, it's full of purpose. It's a signal that something better is on its way, and that space has been cleared to make room for it. We often don't see it in the moment. The pain clouds our vision, and all we want is what we've lost. But absence is powerful. It forces you to turn inward, to focus on yourself, and to reclaim your energy. It pushes you to stop waiting for someone who isn't coming, and to start investing in your own dreams and your own growth. The absence isn't just the loss of a person. It's the gain of clarity, the chance to realign with your true purpose. The truth is, when someone isn't reaching out, they're showing you exactly where you stand. And while it hurts to be left behind, it's also an opportunity. You get to choose where to put your energy, who to spend your time with, and what kind of love you allow into your life. Sometimes God removes the wrong people so the right ones can find you. Sometimes that absence is a test of your faith, a challenge to trust the timing of your life even when it doesn't make sense. Your destiny isn't delayed by someone's absence, it's often protected by it. Because the wrong relationship, the wrong connection can blind you from seeing your true value and keep you stuck in a place that isn't good for you. When he's not reaching out, it's a painful but necessary step toward your freedom. Freedom from doubt, from insecurity, from the need to prove your worth to someone who can't see it. So instead of chasing someone who isn't coming back, use that absence as a blessing. Use it to build yourself up, to find peace in your own company, and to open your heart to the possibilities waiting for you. Trust that the space left behind isn't empty, but filled with promise. A promise that your best days, your true love, and your fullest potential are still ahead. And sometimes, that absence is exactly what you needed to finally step into the life you were meant to live. Your mind is one of the most valuable places you own, prime real estate, if you will. It's where your dreams are born, where your thoughts shape your reality, and where your power to change your life begins. But here's the problem. Too many of us are renting out that precious space to people who don't deserve it, to people who aren't even investing in us. And when you give away your mind like that, when you let someone who's not showing up for you occupy your thoughts day and night, you're giving away your power. Think about it. How many hours have you spent thinking about him? Wondering what he's doing, why he's not calling, what he might be thinking about you. How many nights have you laid awake replaying conversations, hoping for a text, waiting for a sign? All that time, all that mental energy, it's like you've been paying rent for a space that's being used against your own happiness. And for what? Someone who doesn't prioritize you, someone who isn't even aware of how much space they take up in your head. That's not just draining, it's disrespectful to yourself. Your mind deserves better, your energy deserves better, you deserve better. You have to realize that every minute you spend obsessing over someone who isn't investing in you is a minute stolen from your own growth, your own peace, and your own joy. When you hold on to thoughts about a person who doesn't value you, you're holding on to a false reality. You're living in the past, in the what-ifs, and in hopes that may never be realized. That's no way to live. Reclaiming your mind means taking control back. It means recognizing that you are the landlord of your mental space, and you get to decide who gets the keys. You don't have to keep giving away your thoughts to someone who's not showing up, not calling, not caring. You don't have to keep trying to fill your head with their voice when they haven't made room for yours. It's time to evict those unwanted tenants and make room for something better. When you reclaim your mind, you reclaim your power. Suddenly, you're free to think about what really matters to you, your goals, your dreams, your happiness. You can focus on yourself without the noise of doubt, confusion, or longing for someone who isn't present. You'll find space for self, love, self-respect, and self-worth. And those are the foundations for every healthy relationship, including the one you have with yourself. The process isn't always easy. The mind is stubborn and old habits die hard. But every time you catch yourself spiraling into thoughts about someone who doesn't deserve your attention, gently remind yourself, this mind space is mine. I'm choosing what I allow here. It's like cleaning out a cluttered room at first. It's uncomfortable to let go of things you thought you needed, but once you clear it out, you see the beauty of the open space and breathe easier. So stop renting your mind out to someone who won't pay their dues. Stop giving away your peace for someone who isn't willing to invest in you. You have the power to reclaim your thoughts, your focus, and your life. When you do, you'll realize that your mind is not just a place for memories or worries. It's the control center for your future. And that power is yours, waiting for you to take it back.